Welcome to True Crime and Celebrity News. If live breaking news and court trials and following true crime your thing, please consider subscribing to my channel, and if you see what you like in my content, please consider giving the content a thumbs up.
Hello, hello, hello. Wait, see if anyone shows up. See if anyone wants to join me tonight. Because we're gonna party like it's 1999. Anyways, if you're on the replay, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like the live, give it a thumbs down. It doesn't matter. It's the interaction. So I'm doing a live tonight on let's get to know Devyn. Devyn Michaels is her name. And Katrina Farrell, Tracy Nicole Tavery, and Nikki Fairchild. I want to make it known right now. Nikki Fairchild is the one that married Johnathan's son. Not Devyn, Nikki. All right. So we're just going to go over a few things, just kind of get to know Devyn a little bit and why she's on trial and what she did and why she did it and all kinds of stuff. I was being naughty and I was listening to the son give his testimony. So I'm prepared to what's going to happen tomorrow. So Devyn is, I believe, either now 46 or at the time of the crime was 46. And I just want to also make it known that everything is alleged. She has not been convicted of any crimes. She is on trial right now for ordering her daughters. She has two daughters. Dad. So let's start out with Johnathan's son. His name is Devyn. She met him when he was 19. Johnathan had one child at the time. And she met him. They got together when he was 19. Devyn and Johnathan had been together, boyfriend and girlfriend, before this all happened, I think. She took the son's virginity. There was text messages today that was stating that he was a virgin until them two met. She was a stripper at the time when they met, because she was a lot younger. So let's look up the news article that I got, and I'll share it with y'all and we'll go over it. And I got a couple of YouTube videos. There's a lot. The lawyer was right when he said this is gonna be one heck of a ride. So far it really has. It's hard to find out who's all who, in this scenario. So Johnathan is her baby daddy, has two daughters. Devere is Johnathan's son, and she married him. It was for reasons of health reasons. He stayed home. Because she was in the hospital a lot, I guess. And she maybe needed the medical insurance and someone to help take care of the kids. Johnathan was an alleged alcoholic. He was an alcoholic. And the son admitted today on the stand he is an alcoholic also. He said that him and his dad did not get along. They did not talk to each other. They just were never father and son. So I believe this is the oldest. So Vegas woman. Oh, I forgot to share it with you guys. Oh, how terrible of me. All right. Vegas woman accused of, her children's father claims evidence was tampered with. Okay. So in July, I think it was July 15th or 17th, she went in for her plea deal. And the poor woman just had a nervous breakdown standing there saying she doesn't know what to do. She doesn't want to do this, that things were tampered with. She believes that they are framing her for this murder. So the plea deal was she would do 15 years. And that's it. Just 15 years, she'd be out. Well, she started crying, carrying on, having a mental breakdown, and the state said, nope, we're withdrawing the plea. We'll take it to court. She's accusing us of doing this and that and the other, and we'll take it to court. Let the jury find out, let them decide. So a woman who previously pled guilty to second-degree murder in the death of the father of her children, who was found decapitated, now wants to change her plea. Her attorney suggested in a Las Vegas courtroom on Thursday that evidence had been tampered with. What day was this? June 2025. But she decided not to take the thing in July. So that's weird. So police arrested Devyn Michaels, who also uses the name Tracy Tavares, in 2023 and accused her of murdering and decapitating Johnathan Willette at a home in Henderson, Nevada. After she said he tried to force her to perform a sex act on him. Willette's head was never recovered. Michaels pled guilty to second-degree murder last year. 2 months later, she announced that she intended to withdraw her plea. On Thursday, Michaels' new lawyer cross-examined her old lawyer in Clark County 8th Judicial District Court. During conversations that I had with Miss Michaels, she said part of the reason she's doing this is because she is shown only 2 photographs in this case, and they were shown to her by detectives. Did you ever show her any photographs? Asked Clark Patrick, Michaels' new attorney. Melissa Oliver, Michaels' previous attorney, said that she had shown her pictures and video evidence. She was given a great deal of discovery. Yes, Oliver said. Investigations into text messages on different devices between Willette and other people were also done. Oliver added, investigators concluded there was nothing of value in them. Did she mention somebody that had been arguing with John over money? Patrick said. That was investigated as well, Oliver said. She mentioned a lot of things that John might have had. Many people trying to harm him, she added. When asked if one of Michaels' confessions might have been coerced since she was under a suicide watch in jail when he gave it, Oliver said that the information was given to a false confession. Experts to consider. There was a suggestion in Mr. Patrick's motion that it wasn't really raised here. So I want to address it to make the record complete. The allegation is that she believes evidence was tampered with. There's no real context to that. Based on your investigation and your review of everything, was there any indication to you that evidence had been tampered with in any way? Asked Deputy District Attorney John Danny. Even though she said she knew what that was referring to, there is no indication that any evidence was tampered with, Oliver said. In one of the interviews Michael gave, she said something to the effect of she needed the victim out of the way because of the child custody issue. Johnathan had full custody of the children. Right before Johnathan met his demise, I'm pretty sure it was Tracy or Nikki, one of the two, had to go into court because there was child abuse allegations. The 8-year-old said that her mom had beat her. And she went into court and explained to the judge that, look, I've taken these classes. I'm not a harmful person. I think I should be able to see my kids. And the judge agreed. She put her on a year of probation. In one of the interviews Michaels gave, she said something to the effect of she needed I'll use the word confession. That's very strong evidence against the defendant. You would agree with me there, he added. The evidence would be difficult to bring in front of a jury, Oliver said. Her statements are strong evidence against her. Yes, she added. But see, all she admitted to is that she hit him with a wooden spoon. According to 8 News Now, Las Vegas police arrested Michaels on a child abuse or neglect charge in 2022 when a worker at a child care facility reported an 8-year-old with bruising on her leg. In 2023, Clark County District Court Judge Mary Kay Holthus sentenced Michaels to 1 year of probation on the child abuse charge on August 9th, 2 days after Johnathan met his demise, after Michaels is alleged to have killed Willette. And the same judge that gave her probation is the same one doing her criminal trial. So there's that. There's a lot of information in this story. So let's go to the one video that I saved.
And we're going to break it down with a retired. A woman convicted of cutting off a man's head and throwing it in the trash could be out of prison in as little as 15 years. We are breaking down this plea agreement that shocked the victim's family members, and we're going to break it down with a retired judge. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Police in the Las Vegas.
Do you notice all her different styles, facial expressions, things like that? I just can't understand why she was never mentally evaluated. Or if she was, they've never shared it.
Suburb of Henderson, Nevada, say 46-year-old Devyn Michaels attacked the father of her children, killing him, and then cut off his head. 46-year-old Johnathan Willette's mother found his body at his home more than a week after he was last seen. He was lying in bed without his head, and his body was actually smoking. Investigators believe that that was from chemicals that Michaels had poured onto his body, possibly to cover up evidence.
Do you see what she looks like in that picture? Nothing like she looks today. Nothing. She really looks good in that picture. I mean, and then the picture, the time that she went to court for her plea deal, she looked a hot mess. I really think that this was bothering her about the whole plea deal.
There were empty bottles of cleaner that were apparently found on the floor at the crime scene. Authorities say Michaels actually took Jonathan's head back to her own home before she put it in the trash. Prosecutors say it's believed that local garbage collectors unknowingly took the trash bag containing Jonathan's head, and at the time of this recording, that head has still never been found. Pretty graphic to talk about, but I do have to give you a little background on this family because it's complex, to say the least. So Devyn Michaels and Johnathan Willette, they had apparently been dating on and off for quite some time. They have 2 young daughters together. But Johnathan also had an adult son from a previous relationship, and Michaels ended up marrying him. Yeah, so in a way, he was both her stepson and her husband.
Oh, wow. He looks really thin in that picture.
It's complicated, I know. Now, they had all been planning to move in together, this is according to prosecutors, allegedly to make things more normal for the young girls. Jonathan's son reportedly told investigators that he and Michaels had gotten married so he could, quote, help her with her medical issues, but what exactly that might mean, it's unclear. Then we fast forward to August 15th, 2023. Henderson police arrest Michaels, and she is charged with Jonathan's murder. Now, Michaels reportedly told police that Johnathan was abusive, that he had tried to force her to perform a sex act on him, so she hit him in the head with some sort of stick. And a police report indicates that she told police that she didn't intend to
Oops, I'm sorry. I didn't mean spoon. It was this wooden stick. Sorry.
Kill him. She just wanted to hurt him enough that he would have to go to the hospital and she could figure out what she could do with her children. But that doesn't really explain why Michaels cut off Jonathan's head and poured chemicals like ammonia and bleach on his body. Well, Jonathan's mother reported to police that when she found her son's body, a meat cleaver was missing from the kitchen.
Okay, so if she did this in the home with the mom and the boyfriend, you mix bleach and ammonia, that's going to make a gas. It's going to be in the whole house. How were they breathing? I want to know how they did not notice this sooner. And how do you not know someone's bringing a body with no head into the house? If the murder wasn't done in his bedroom, who got him in the house? Now, apparently, from what I heard in the testimony just now, Johnathan owed his mom a lot of money and car payments. She was making his car payments. So he had a lot of people upset with him.
Jonathan's keys, wallet, bloody cell phone were reportedly found at Michael's place. And here's where things take another strange turn in an already bizarre and macabre story. Just days after Michaels killed Johnathan, but before his body was discovered, she was in court on another case. So Michaels, who also goes by Tracy Tavares, was dealing with a child abuse case under that name. She was accused of abuse after her 8-year-old daughter had told the teacher that her mother had given her a whooping. Now, Michaels spoke at that court hearing. Let's hear what she had to say.
I've done counseling classes, therapy, drug tests, psych evaluations. I've done everything. And everyone I've spoken to say I'm not an abusive person and they don't feel there's any risk for me to abuse her or would ever do this again.
So the judge ended up sentencing Michaels to 1 year of probation. But you know what happens? Michaels ends up back in front of that same judge a year later, entering into a plea deal for Johnathan's murder. She pleads guilty to a second-degree murder charge, and according to Nevada sentencing guidelines, she could face a sentence of up to life in prison, but she would have a chance of parole in just 15 years. The judge will have the final say at a sentencing hearing at the end of October. And for that, I want to talk about this a little bit more. I want to bring on retired New York City Judge Matthew Sciarrino to talk more about this. Judge, thank you so much for coming back here on Sidebar. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Now, before I talk about what the judge may or may not do here, just your overall reaction, impression to a case like this?
I think this has a bit to do with television and How to Get Away with Murder and those other type shows. I think she made an attempt based on what she heard and felt to try to cover up this particular murder now that she's pled guilty with same. I also think that the convoluted nature of the family and the alleged abuse allegations or probably what prompted the plea deal and the prosecutors.
Now, remember that they're saying that she did this because she had taken that plea deal. She was taking that plea deal. So to them, she was the killer at the time.
Offering such a plea deal because, as you know, prosecutors, when it's a very messy type of situation and family dynamic, they're a little bit worried that the jury might take that out on the victim, the person who was murdered, and give a kind of say a pox on everybody type of verdict. So I think a secure plea deal was the better way to probably handle this case in the prosecutor's minds.
Just to clarify that, are you saying that she might have been able to mount a defense here because the evidence looked pretty damning against her? No.
Evidence very much damning, but I also think that with a possible allegation of spousal abuse, she might be able to negate or mitigate some of the sentencing with regards to the case, and probably that would have been what the defense was, because spousal abuse in this type of case would be very.
See, what I don't get is, to me, if you take a lie detector test, something's telling me that maybe you're not quite as guilty as I think you are. And she took a lie detector test, and I think she just failed one question. I can't remember what it was offhand, but yeah. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for being here.
Very, very common.
Hey, so I'm going to take a guess and say that a lot of you who watch Sidebar might be business owners, maybe even thinking. As some of you might know, I'm the host and executive charge for Prime Crime, and to be clear, we have no plans to do that. So subscriptions, it's even easier. Look at your website now. Domain is free for the first dismembering or getting rid of a body, and the jury would believe that they panicked, that it wasn't necessarily a premeditated murder. They killed them whether it was manslaughter or it was an accident or whatever it might be, and they might find them guilty of, with respect to abuse of.
So she turned down 15 years to go to trial to look at life. I mean, that's saying something, saying something about that.
Corpse or the disposing of the body or tampering with evidence, but they might actually find them not guilty of the murder. So there is a chance that could have happened. But I am curious, when you, just the idea from a human point of view, I mean, it always shocks me that someone has the ability to chop a body up like this, cut someone's head off, somebody, the father of your children, somebody you had an intimate relationship with, to cut the head off their body. I mean, that's just so disgusting and sick, but unfortunately.
Okay. You know what's funny is this man was 6'4". She's 5'3". How is she moving him? Tell me. I need to know. I need to know how if she did this, how did she get him to the house? 6'4", and I believe 200 and some pounds, maybe, at the time of his demise.
We see these cases.
Yeah, it's beyond macabre. I mean, it's how, picturing yourself trying to do some of those acts. I'm a vegan, so I really can't even picture doing that to animals. And it's one of the reasons after watching movies, etc. I've been a vegan now for 8 years, watching the farm factories and just the slaughter of pigs and cows, and so to do that to a fellow human being is beyond my understanding. That being said, I unfortunately have been in the court situations where those are the allegations and those are the pictures and those are the things that you're showing to a jury, and I'm sure that the pictures in this case that were taken by the evidence collection team would have been quite a lot for the jurors to handle.
And that's probably also why prosecutors were like, if we can avoid a trial, we can avoid a jury seeing this, we can avoid prosecutors having to present this, we can avoid the victim's family members from having to be exposed to this. There's an advantage for them to try to have a plea deal in this case, right?
Absolutely, and maybe it's because from New York, I don't consider a 15 years to life sentence to be particularly light. And she very much will. The parole board in Nevada, I have a feeling, is probably pretty strict. And so even though she might be eligible in 15 years, doesn't mean that she's going to necessarily be paroled. Additionally, how much of a danger to the community is she? She apparently only picks on the people that are closest to her, as opposed to, strangers at large. So, 15 to life is a pretty, it's not that light a sentence in my mind.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's amplify that. Assuming she only serves 15 years, good behavior, rehabilitated, circumstances of the killing, someone would look at that and say, she murdered this guy and she chopped his head off, and the head, maybe in 15 years, the head would be recovered, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be recovered. I mean, someone would say that seems like a lenient sentence.
And if she commits something else, guaranteed people will criticize the judge for giving such a light sentence with regards to the case. If she has no further issues with the criminal justice system, it probably will go unnoticed that she received such a light sentence.
But what are some of the factors that would work in her favor in terms of being released in 15 years, and what would be some of the factors that would work against her?
The being a good prisoner, in that if she takes rehabilitative courses, if she takes, maybe she gets a degree in something while she's in prison, if such programs are offered, if she's part of a therapy program, her acceptance of responsibility is a great factor with regards to mitigation. All of those are taken into account by the parole board when they make the determinations as to whether or not to release the person, whether the parole board feels that they are a danger to the community that they are going to be released to, whether she has a program set up. Generally, it's a release to some kind of halfway house initially, where you'll have to find employment and make sure that you're no further risk to come back to the criminal justice system. Also, I would imagine that there's a degree of parole supervision, which will result in her having to check in regularly. She might have to confine to house arrest for a particular period of time while on parole.
A woman convicted of cutting off a man's head and throwing it in the trash could be out of prison in as little as 15.
I know no matter what I say at this moment. I know right now no one in the family is going to believe me. I know right now no one in the family feels that I'm innocent at any point, and I understand that.
This was supposed to be a sentencing hearing that quickly went off the rails.
The way that they manipulated and altered and deleted things is wrong. They should not be able to do it, and they have. And for you to be able to look me in the eye knowing that the things are altered and...
You pled guilty, man.
Mr. Michaels, you are not to address the state. You are to address...
Oh, sorry, I forgot I muted, but I went to a different video because we know that she didn't take that plea deal, but I kind of wanted to give you an idea of what she did do. And then now this is her having that mental breakdown. Did you see her facial expressions? Like, she legitimately was having a nervous breakdown during this. Like, I think she knew. You know, I am saying that I did this when I know I didn't.
Yeah, you are. You were going to address me. What do you want to say to me?
So why is the Las Vegas mom pleading with the judge and the prosecutors after getting a plea deal? Well, because she claims she wasn't the one who decapitated the father of her kids. But there's so many layers to this story, we're really just scratching the surface. Thanks for joining us on Law and Crime. I'm Elizabeth Milner. Devyn Michaels initially agreed to plead guilty to murder, but then revoked her plea right as she was about to be sentenced. So maybe she can prove her innocence, because it looks like a jury will be deciding her fate.
I truly believed that we were going to do the right thing, and it just didn't happen.
Devyn Michaels was visibly emotional during last week's hearing. But how did we get here? Well, let's take a quick step back here. On August 7th of 2023, a woman called police to say she found her son, Johnathan Willette, dead. When police responded, they found Jonathan's body in his bed, but his head was missing. There was something else near his body, too. Bottles of bleach and ammonia. And officers noted it looked like those chemicals were applied to his body. Now, when officers spoke with Jonathan's mom, she said the last time she saw her son was the night before, when he was hanging out with his girlfriend, Devyn. So police were able to contact her and go to her home to interview her. But in her driveway, something was off. They found Jonathan's cracked cell phone with a dark stain on the screen that appeared to be blood. Now, police later executed a search warrant on Devyn's place, where they found more items belonging to her boyfriend, like his ID, the keys to his truck, his wallet, his social security card, and more. Maybe not super suspicious since the two were romantically involved or were, but the blood stands out, right? Then another tip came in, this one from Jonathan's mom, who informed investigators her meat cleaver was missing from her kitchen. According to a previous report by Fox 5 Vegas, Devyn did a polygraph test a few days later. When she was asked whether she participated in any way in the death of Johnathan, she had a significant reaction to that question. So what else did she have to say at the time? Well, she told investigators that she hit Johnathan with a wooden stick because she claimed he was abusive to her, and he allegedly tried to get her to perform a sex act on him. She reportedly told investigators that she didn't have any intention on killing him. She just wanted to hurt him enough so he would wind up in the hospital until she could figure out what to do with their children. She claimed she didn't remember, but it was allegedly very possible. According to a report by 8 News Now, prosecutors claimed Devyn threw Jonathan's head into the trash, and the garbage was likely taken by the sanitary crews. So his head was never recovered. Surprisingly, she was able to work out a deal for a lot less time in prison than you might expect. 15 years. Well, life in prison with the possibility of parole after 15 years. Again, despite allegedly decapitating the father of her children and throwing his head into the garbage like regular trash. Now, prosecutors admit Devyn never copped to decapitating Johnathan, but there were other clues leading them to believe she was behind his murder. That deal was worked out in September of last year. Just last week, she, like I mentioned, was supposed to be sentenced, until that didn't happen.
As you know, the defendant not only murdered her ex, but then desecrated his body by decapitating him and putting chemicals on his body, causing it to burn. The defendant admitted to the fatal blow. She never admitted to the decapitation portion, but the evidence was overwhelming that it was obviously her who did it. Another haunting fact, and something that should be concerning, which supports the life tale, is that the defendant had corollary child abuse case that pre-existed this. We reviewed, Ms. Griffith and I reviewed the minutes in that case, and it appears that 2 days after she murdered and decapitated her ex, she appeared in court in front of another judge in this courthouse and made representations that she was staying out of trouble, and obviously had that on her conscience at the time, walked right back out of the courthouse, and then ultimately was developed as our suspect and arrested. We take this case very seriously, obviously the family does as well. We believe the sentence reflects the gravity of the crime, so we will submit it. We do have some updates on CTS, which was wrong in the PSI.
Correct, I calculated the credit at 455 days as of today.
Okay, that sounds correct.
Because I calculated it in regards to she was on probation when this event occurred, she then got that sentence imposed, she was released on that sentence, so she started accumulating the credit on that day, and I have it at 455 days as of today.
Yes, and we also...
Ms. Michaels, what, if anything, would you like to say before I pronounce sentence against you?
There's so much I want to say. Johnathan is very special, very unique, and I know no matter what I say at this moment, I know right now no one in the family is going to believe me. I know right now no one in the family feels that I'm innocent at any point, and I understand that, but I can actually prove my innocence. I actually can, and I'm not going to stop fighting to prove my innocence. I have more than enough, and Johnathan deserves to have the actual person who's guilty behind bars. I was helping Johnathan. I can show that I was trying to help him, and this, I know, is hurting the family, and I can see it in your faces, and I know your hearts are angry, and they should be, and I'm angry for you. And this is not fair to you. This has been dragging out for almost 2 years. It's not fair to you. And it's not fair to his children, any of them. And it's not right. It really isn't. It's not. I've seen so much that it's just terrible. The way that they manipulated and altered and deleted things is wrong. They should not be able to do it, and they have. And for you to be able to look me in the eye knowing that the things are altered and...
You pled guilty, man.
Ms. Michaels, you are not to address the state. You are to address me. You are. You were going to address me. What do you want to say to me?
My apologies. I wasn't trying to address the state directly. It's just... I was told. I just told one thing after another, and I truly believed that we were going to do the right thing, and it just didn't happen. I am so sorry for all of this, but I'm so sorry, but I didn't do this, and I didn't know this would end up like this. I really didn't, and I will forever apologize to the family that I don't know how to fix any of this anymore. I don't. I keep listening to what everyone tells me is the best thing to do. Just do this and it'll work out this way, and follow this advice and we'll do this. And I keep listening to the people because they keep saying this is the best advice. It doesn't turn out the way they tell me it will. And it just gets worse and worse. And I don't know what to do anymore.
Judge, I'm not comfortable with this record. I'm willing to let her out of her plea if the court is inclined.
I don't know how to finish this. All right.
It's just, this wouldn't be appropriate.
I completely understand.
Let's go to trial.
Mr. Giudiani. All right. Ms. Michaels, you understand Mr. Giudiani says that he's willing to let you out of your plea and he's willing to try this case. And you understand that he's willing to try this case on an open murder. So a jury can convict you of a first-degree murder. Do you understand that? Or do you want to talk to Mr. Patrick about it?
I don't want to talk to Mr. Patrick. He didn't listen to anything I said.
Ms. Michaels, I need you to understand what I'm saying to you and answer my question.
Yes.
Do you want to withdraw your plea and go to trial?
Yes, please.
All right. This plea is going to be withdrawn. Ms. Patrick, I need you to have some discussions with your client
Your
about...
Honor, I've moved to withdraw at this time. This case needs to go back to the appointed counsel.
Ms.
I will
Michaels, hold on just one second. Ms. Michaels, you need to conduct yourself like this is a courtroom. If you cannot do that, then they're going to remove you because I still have business to conduct.
Yes.
Do you understand? Mr. Patrick?
Judge, respectfully, I move to withdraw and have this case sent back to Office of Appointed Counsel. I am not in a position to accept appointment on this case should it go to trial at this time.
All right. All right, I'm going to have to reach out to the Office of Appointed Counsel and get her a lawyer that's going to be appointed with the understanding this case is 2 years old. This case is not going to sit stagnant and wait around for a trial. So I'm going to reach out to Ms. Bush myself and have a discussion with her in regards to the appointment of counsel because this is not going to be, this case has been delayed extensively, and this case is not going to further be delayed so that there is no justice for everybody.
Yes, Your Honor.
So a lot has changed in less than 10 minutes. Now Devyn Michaels will go on trial, and the attorney she has, or now had, said that he's removing himself. But like you heard the judge say, she'll now go on trial for open murder, meaning it's possible a jury might find her guilty on first-degree murder, meaning the possibility she had of parole won't be there if she's found guilty. I'm joined now by criminal defense attorney Sky Lazaro. Sky, always great to see you. You know, I gotta ask, how often do you see a defendant revoke their plea right before they're about to be sentenced?
You know, this is one of those things that happens. It is unfortunate, but I think we've all been there at some point in our career. I spent the first part of my career at the public defender's office here in Utah and Salt Lake City, and it happens. You get a deal worked out, and then your client gets up and says, "Hey, I want out." It's very difficult procedurally and from a legal standpoint to revoke a plea once you've entered into it.
Well, and how come? How come that's the case?
So when a person pleads guilty, they usually sign a plea form, and then the judge goes through what we call a plea colloquy. And one of the things that they ask them is your plea knowing and voluntarily given? Have you been threatened, coerced, or put under any sort of duress to enter this plea? Have any promises been made to you other than what's been contained in the plea agreement been made to you to make you enter this plea? Are you satisfied with the advice of your counsel? They go through all of those things, and then they tell them you can withdraw your plea, but it's really narrowly tailored, and it has to be withdrawn prior to being sentenced. And it usually revolves around, was it a knowing and voluntary plea? And this was litigated in this case. It sounds like, they filed motions on it, and the judge ruled against her just, I think, several days ago to revoke her plea in this case.
Yeah, and it's interesting, the turn of events, plus just kind of Devyn Michaels' very emotional reaction to everything, too, was pretty surprising. It's something, that part, I will say, you don't see too often. And I'm curious to know, Scott, do you think that she was trying to buy herself a little more time, or do you think that she really believes that she's innocent despite what feels like overwhelming evidence against her? But I know we were talking a little offline about how she never copped to decapitating Johnathan.
Right. So this plea agreement, when you're facing a murder charge, you're looking at the potential of life without parole. In Nevada, I think you have to do on a first-degree felony 20 years before you're even eligible for parole. So this plea agreement was really quite favorable to her. It was a stipulated sentence. It was second degree. Second degree murder is a reckless mindset instead of an intentional killing. And all that was contained in the plea statement was that she delivered.
Man, she should have just stuck with the second degree. She admitted to everything but the decapitating. She did not admit to that. She should have just stuck with it, man. She should probably just ask him really nice to do it again.
The final blow that killed him. Nothing to do with the decapitation. And the agreement was after 15 years, she's eligible for parole in this case.
And do you think it's possible that there's some other alleged killer just out there kind of who might be responsible for the beheading and she just was the one who had did the final blow? Or do you think it's possible that she might be kind of pulling the wool over everyone's head?
You know, anything's possible. We're not privy to all the facts in the case. She made a lot of allegations that evidence had been tampered with. It sounds like that was addressed at a prior hearing, and both her former defense attorney and the state essentially told the court we didn't find any evidence of that. And then she just sort of melted down in this case. I think, sure, there is a possibility. It does sound like most of the evidence, at least from what we've heard, points to her. And she did stand there, you know, during her plea hearing and say, yes, I did it. I plead guilty to delivering the final blow. Now, she came back, you know, the other day in her sentencing hearing when she wanted to withdraw her plea and said, essentially what she was saying is, I just did it because my lawyer told me. Everybody was telling me to do it. My lawyer told me to do it.
Yeah.
So sure, it's possible. But the risk she's facing, you know, going to trial on a first degree murder is, they're very substantial compared to what she pled to.
Exactly. It's the possibility of 15 years and you could be out, or now it's possibility
Right.
you won't even get that possibility of parole.
And
yeah.
I don't know her. I just want to add, I don't know her at all.
Right.
But I watched the sentencing hearing, and just having done this for so long and looking at just the way she conducted herself, if I'm the next attorney on this case, I'm probably going to get some sort of psychological evaluation to determine, you know, whether or not she's capable to go forward. I think she's probably competent by a legal standard, but if there's something else going on, because you're going to probably want to be aware of that, you know, as you move forward in this case.
Absolutely. And given that Devyn's defense attorney, before he withdrew, said that he didn't see this case actually going on trial anytime soon, do you agree with that?
I do. Murder cases take a...
You know, I agree. I really think that she should have had a mental eval. I believe, because the detective said, do you think you could have done this and you just don't remember? That is a mental illness. You know? Okay. So let's go on to the next video, because that pretty much explains what...
A woman convicted of cutting off a man's head and throwing it in the trash could be out of prison in as little as 15 years. We are breaking down this plea agreement that shocked the victim's family members, and we're going to break it down with a retired judge. Welcome.
Oh, I don't want...
A woman convicted of cutting off a man's head and throwing it in the trash could be out of prison in as little as 15 years. We are breaking down...
Leo Tolstoy, perhaps one of the greatest authors of all time, in his first book, first novel, Anna Karenina, wrote, first sentence, all happy families are the same. Every unhappy family is unhappy in its own way. Her Honor asked whether we were going to give an opening statement. An opening statement, as Mr. Giordani had laid out, is the time for each side to stand before you and tell you what the facts are. It's our chance to give you a roadmap and explain to you what we feel the facts and ultimately the truth are. Oftentimes defense attorneys sit back and wait. Don't want to show anything. Let's see what they've got. This case, we're not doing that. We're going to get right out in front of this case and we're going to tell you what's really going on and what the state and what their investigation is missing. Initially, Mr. Giordani had said, well, buckle up, and I'm telling you, buckle up. You know, oftentimes in the intricacies and the complications of human relations, things get unsavory.
What happened to her hair?
Things are immoral. I'm going to be showing you things right now, not in a sense to offend you, to cast blame necessarily on the decedent in this case, but to give you a true picture of what was really going on with this unhappy family. Outward actions and outward statements are clues to motive. And we're going to ask you that through the course of this trial, you keep the idea of motive in mind. Motive authors actions. After the state had learned, the police had learned concerning the death of Johnathan Willette, they began to conduct a series of interviews. And what's telling the course of these interviews is what's discussed, what outward statements are made, and how those are clues to motivations. DeVry's interviewed the day of August 7th, 2023. And at the beginning of his interview, he admits that he's been drinking. He claims that upon hearing of his father's death, he'd got his drink on. But what's telling through the course of what he says and what he doesn't say, he's asked. And again, at first, and you can't blame the detectives, they're trying to do the best they can with a fairly complex situation.
So the son, when they found out about that he was going to have to go to trial, he took off to California and got himself a new girlfriend, and she was in the court today, sitting in the back. I wonder how that made Devyn or Katrina, or Tracy, or Nikki feel. I bet pretty crappy.
They're trying to get a root, a feeling of the root of the relationships between the parties. I mean, you've got Johnathan Willette, who's dead. You've got Devyn, the son that's living with the defendant now in this case, Devyn Michaels, and they're trying to grasp what's really going on. What's going on behind closed doors. They struggle in each of the interviews, both with Devyn and with Devyn, to get a feeling of what's going on. Like, what are the relationships? And they're misled time and time again by all parties. In this interview, the first of
she went home while Devyn was very intoxicated. And his records show that he got up between 1 and 2 o'clock and left the house. The night she came home and told him he had to move out because his dad was moving back in because of the girls. See, they were all supposed to live together. But Johnathan said, oh no, we aren't all going to live together. This ain't going to happen. He's got to go. Telling his own son he had to get out of his house that he was paying for, so he could move in and be with his daughters.
Which that Devyn has, they're trying to get a handle on this idea of this marriage and this relationship. And they ask him, but you're saying that you guys are married more out of convenience, not like you guys actually love each other. His response, yeah, we don't. It's not like that. It's out of convenience. But you guys sleep in the same room? His response, no. He's asked here, they're at the home. His response, no. Are you guys intimate at all? His response, no. Devyn is being asked questions who, by the way, you will learn he hated. And he's lying about the relationship that he has with his wife. There was some discussion concerning phones, and I'll tell you any more in this modern society, these are the key of most investigations. In fact, the statement said that's why the evidence.
Now remember, he set up all of the camera equipment at his grandma and grandpa's house. He set it all up because that's what he does for work. He puts in cameras and stuff like that, security at houses. And the night that his father died, it all mysteriously was shut off, disconnected, was not working. Now remember, he left the home. Exactly, Kathy. Then why does Dad think he would just move out of his own house? Devyn went home that night and told him, your dad's moving in because the girls are struggling. We need to be together as a family. You need to move out. Apparently, he said in his testimony, oh, okay, well, I got some friends that live down the street. I'll just go bunk it with them. All nonchalant about it, like this shit didn't bother him. Yes, Johnathan's son, but she was at home. He was the only one that was known to have left the house between 1 and 2 o'clock. He said he was going to work. Who's going to work at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning at someone's house drunk?
Devier was ruled out. The location data on the phone didn't track that night to the Paladera residence. That's easily solved. It's easily explained. It was left home. That's it. There are other cases that have been of some notoriety that happens. People know now. They track you on your phones. You're going to learn that Devier knew this and the importance and the significance of this clue to this hidden secret. This was no marriage of convenience. We have out here the wedding ring that you'll see in photos that both Devier and...
Kathy, did you see this opening statement at all?
Devyn wore. In fact, Detective Skinner, again trying to grasp this, and this is on August 7th, is asking Devyn about the rings. And he's telling me, rings, you guys are saying this is convenience, but rings are like of significance. It shows commitment. She plays it down, as does Devier. This marriage of convenience is belied by the facts. Yeah.
And today, during his testimony, he says he couldn't remember what day he got married. They got married December 21st. I don't know the year, but December 21st.
You have to ask yourself as these facts unfold, why is Devier covering for Devier? And why is Devyn covering for Devier? This is no sexless union. And again, this isn't to offend, this isn't to shock, but this gives the nature of what's really going on and why that statement was so untrue. I mean, these are pictures taken from their respective phones, and you can see the timestamps. And this will be admitted to you, and you will be able to consider this in reaching the appropriate verdict in this case. This participant, this is a voicemail, 4/27/23 in this sexless, non-intimate marriage.
Will you make love to me tonight? I just want to feel you better. I just want to flow, just as you touching me, just in my body, just in yours. I just want some passion tonight, please.
These are photos recovered from her phone that were taken from her phone 5/17/23. And again, they're sexual in nature. This isn't to offend. However, what detectives didn't learn is that this relationship wasn't something that was being frustrated by Johnathan moving in. This relationship had gone on for years before. See the picture of Devyn 125, it was modified, access 1227. It goes back 7 years. Driver's license, this is Devyn, and if you look and take notice, I mean, this is some years before, he's 6'4". He's 185 pounds. He's a big guy, like his dad. His dad, 6'4", 205 pounds. We had spoken yesterday. Devyn Michaels was in the porn industry. You know, she's not on trial for morality, she's on trial for murder. She had AKAs given her line of work. Devyn was into that. He knew that, he appreciated that, he pursued that. And this illicit relationship began before the relationship had ended with his father. It was done behind his back. Text between Devyn and Devyn. See? No.
Well, in kind of a sense, I mean, she did leave Johnathan and was married to his son, and then she went back to him. So yeah, technically she was having an affair on the son with the dad.
There's the photo, it's that same photo I showed you, 19-year-old, he's now 20. Girl, you had me mesmerized last night. You don't have to change a thing. Like that night was hands down the most sensational feeling I've ever felt since I lost my virginity. These are expressions of a passionate 20-year-old young man who's in love with a porn star. See the dates? Modified 9/3/16. That means it was looked at 7/18/26. We've got Devyn 20 here. And I'm going to show you photos to show the identification of what's going on. You've got a penis shot taken from her phone. And you see up in the corner, it's Devyn. So it's the case, the facts will show and common sense will dictate that this isn't a case about her wanting to be with Devyn and she kills Johnathan. She's been with Johnathan. What happened on August 7th of 2023 is Devyn was getting kicked out. He was no longer going to be a part of this relationship because the dad he hated, was coming in and not only taking his home, but taking his wife. Again, 2016, and this shows the length. And this isn't everything, but we're trying to just present this to you now so you have an idea. You can appreciate the motivations. Tracy, you put the biggest smile on my face. You haven't seen it already. You are the first thing on my mind in the morning, but I can't kiss you in the morning, sadly. But boy, when my lips touch yours, it feels like time stops. For you, my heart races 1,000 miles and never skips a beat. When I have you in my arms, you may as well start a fire in my chest, because no one can make me feel like a melting stick of butter, like you at your best. Just wanted to say you truly outdid the rest. This is 7 years before. Don't worry, at one point I'll be laying next to you, playing with your hair, scratching your back, and whispering something romantic in your ear. Again, the dates are telling. We saw pictures of Johnathan and Devyn and the kids, but if you look at the date here and the time, this is 19-year-old Devyn. Johnathan's not in the picture. Same time frame, you see, screenshot. 8/23/16. There were a couple. And there were a couple behind Dad's back. Same photo, same time frame, modified 5/9/22. We're coming now to the present. There'd been a long-going, torrid affair, which resulted in a marriage between a son and his father's former girlfriend. This is Devyn receiving a text from Devyn. See, 11/3/21, hope it's good. I was looking, it was good, but I'm looking forward to eating something else later. Her response, Arby's, his, if that's what you call that coochie, then yeah, I guess so too. So it shows that this was consistent. Pictures of Devyn on Devyn's phone. You'd see modified, which means looked at 5/15/23. Capture time 5/15/23. Again, the date 5/15/23. I mean, this is clearly an intimate relationship. It's not for the kids. It's not for these perceived medical issues. Devyn is in love with Devyn. Captures on his phone. You'll hear from Devyn, and we may not have a moment that we discussed yesterday where I can't take it, I did it. Look at the motivations and why people say what they do. Devyn's 9/14/2023 grand jury testimony. And if I could just ask you a couple more questions about that. Did you and Devyn get married in the traditional sense? And this is under oath in front of a grand jury where there's jurors. It's a formal proceeding, just like a trial. His response, yes, but it was more me helping out with the girls when she couldn't find a babysitter. So I figured, well, we both kind of sat and talked about it. When she has to go to work and can't find a babysitter, I could be there. She also had a whole bunch of medical problems, and it's very expensive to keep the girls at daycare when she's sitting in the hospital, so I would normally be there to watch them. Okay, and I'm sorry to ask, was it an intimate relationship that you were in with Devyn at some point? And now we start seeing, they've got the phones. Metro and the Henderson Police Department are doing their investigations. His response changes, but nonetheless, it's still not truthful. Yes, after the first year, it started to get intimate. They were married November 21st, 2021. So if we're to take Devyn at his word, they got intimate after the first year, that gets us to November, December of 2022. The lie, and the facts show it. Did it remain intimate up until the time of your father's death? Yes. Movement, but still, there is the clues that give way to the secrets that are being consulted, and the motive for why. In his initial interview, okay, so then you knew he was moving in, and she told you that you were gonna have to move out. And this is after he's had a few drinks, probably a lot. His response, recently, yes. It was kind of a short notice, but yeah, and I mean, I know the person he is, and he's referring to his father. So I was like, okay, whatever, I'll deal with it. Okay, and you were gonna move out? Did he knew that you lived here, or didn't know that you lived here? His response, no. He knew I lived here. When you look and when you weigh the evidence, you have to ask two things. Why is he saying these things? Why is he not even knowledge of getting kicked out? And this hot and heavy and sexual relationship that he's having with Devyn.
You know, I get it. You know, the evidence points to her, obviously. But you have to leave one spot in your mind with the son. He's being told he has got to move out of his home so his dad can move in and be with Devyn and the children. Man, I'd be mad. I would be furious. How does one person act? Man, you don't know. And he's intoxicated when she told him this. You got to move out because your dad's going to move in. Oh, no. I don't think that went over well with him at all. I really don't. I really don't. I think Devyn was over there that night and he was drinking and Johnathan was drinking and he was getting too hot and heavy and thinking Devyn wanted to do all this extra stuff with him and she said no and hit him upside the head, but didn't hurt him. And then I think she went home and she told the son, your dad was making moves on me when I was over there with the girls tonight because she would take the girls over there for visitation. You know, so they could all be together as a family because he did have rights to the children, but because he was living with his mom and mom's boyfriend, they were staying with Devyn. So she went home and told Devier, or whatever his name is, look, your dad was putting the moves on me tonight and wanted me to do something sexual, some weird sexual things with him. While he's drinking, and he sat there and thought about it and thought about it and thought about it till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And he says, you know, he's thinking, yep, I'm out. And that's when he left the house and something happened. I don't think he thought that they were having, no, I don't think she was sleeping with them at the time. I believe that affair was over because he drank too much. Put a damper on the manly part. So I don't know. Yes. No, she said that she hit him. And then the detective said, do you think you could have did it and don't remember? And possibly not remembering. Yeah, he was face down. Yep, I know all that. Well, not face down. But you got to remember, this was before he lost his, you know what. So the funny thing is how did the mom and the mom's boyfriend not hear power tools? And they said that a butcher knife was missing. See, you got to leave your mind open. You got to leave a little open for the possibility that the son could have done this. She could have hit him, mad at him for putting the moves on her. Yeah. Okay, we're going to listen to the rest of this guy. He doesn't have very much left, I don't think. And then, oh, wait. Yeah, they do got a lot. Okay, here we go.
It changes now. 9/12/23. I didn't know that he was going to move in. He's eliminating another motive. I didn't know what they were attempting to get over here. I didn't know that they were attempting to get remarried, or not remarried, because they were never married, attempting to get married. Again, we do get a glimpse of the truth, but he's denying that he knew that his dad was moving in, and then now he's apparently saying he didn't know they were getting married too. Well, he knew his dad was getting moved in, and he knew that they were getting married. He's out. 9/14/2023 grand jury testimony. Again, this is Devyn. Okay, there's come a point in time where you learned that your father was going to move into the address where you were living with Devyn and the two girls. His response? Under oath. I'm unaware of that. Okay, did you become aware of that? After I talked to the detective? Yes. Oh, okay. So that's something you learned after your father's death? His response? Yes. Understood. Was there a discussion about you potentially moving out of the residence? His response? No, sir.
But tonight, when I was listening to his testimony, he was aware. He admits that he was aware that his dad was moving in. So somebody's lying.
Prior to your father's death? No, sir. Again, it's eliminating under oath the motive. This is a text that Devyn sent to him 4 days before this incident. See down at the bottom, 8/3/2023, liar, cheater, it goes on and on. Obviously there's passion in this non-intimate relationship if you're going to take his word for it. She sends me a text 8/3/23, I want a divorce. All your shit will be waiting outside for you. 4 days before Dad's moving in. Do not even think about coming back. He tells the detective he had no idea. He had no idea there had been no discussions of him getting booted out of the house. So he's losing a wife and he's losing a home. She states, keep your alcohol. Just stay out of my life. You learn from this witness stand that Devyn had a fair amount in common with the father that he hated. He was a heavy drinker. You know, a buddy of mine was a warden in Arkansas, and he said, we eliminate women, we eliminate booze. I have nobody in my prison. 9/12/23, interview of Devyn. Well, you weren't. You weren't the main suspect. You know what I mean? This is yours. It's a little different than hers. We're here
There's a lot of things I'd like to give my ex-husband, and that's massage is not one of them. Well, Amy's dad, yes, definitely. But Scott, no.
You didn't do it to clear you. His response? Right. Does that make sense? It does. And while the chances of you even being there are so slim that it's just, there's no, that's not even on the radar. These are the detectives that are investigating this case. Perhaps they're ignorant of this, what was really going on, the real dynamic of this fairly seedy, buckle-up relationship. Again, he's ruled out and basically not on the radar because he didn't have the phone on him when his dad was killed.
Ooh.
He killed his father.
How convenient to not have your phone.
He just left his phone at home when he did that. He's been very clear through his interviews that he worked at Hometronics. He has extensive knowledge of home security systems. And we all know that most home security systems, there's a phone element to it. It caches on your phone. You have a Ring camera, Arlo, any of those. Phone-based. And Devyn has a substantial amount of technical knowledge. He also installed home entertainment systems. Then you've had speakers put in, TVs put up. You got tools. Generally a Sawzall, an electronic knife, an electronic saw to make cuts through the drywall and through 2x4s. We know how that's at least one of the two instruments that was used to remove his father's head. Again, and I've addressed this, why live please on 8/7, then again on 9/12, and then live the grand jury on 9/14. Motives, author actions, outward statements betray secrets. He's repeatedly eliminated his motivation through the course of this investigation. And she's been complicit, whether she knew or not. She's complicit in this. We have Devier covering for Devier, and we have Devyn covering for Devier. Here she is. This, and again, this is just scratching the surface, but these are photographs that are captured on Devier's phone, just to give you an idea. And there's a long list. We could be here for much longer than we're going to. You know, he's not on any cameras. Well, yeah, that's what he does for a living. He's aware of, these are security systems. He installs them. He's aware of the angles, what they pick up and what they do. And it goes on and on. But like I said, I won't keep you here for the rest of the afternoon, but these are all, and this is just scratching the surface of what's captured on his phone. I mean, this is sophisticated stuff, and he has sophisticated knowledge. He's taking photographs of all this as part of his work. This is his handiwork. And there's a lot of them. I would submit to you that the facts will show and common sense will dictate he knows how to stay under the radar. He lived at the home where his father was killed. It got too bad between him and his dad. He refers to that house in the Paladera residence with Yoko and her significant other and his dad and Andrea. Jonathan's prior girlfriend was there. He talked about it being a shit show, a madhouse. He lived there for more than a couple of years. He knew how to get into that house and get out of that house. I'll thumb through these. And again, this is captured on his phone. There's a couple of tools back there. Drill. This is the home that Devyn and Devier were living at prior to him getting kicked out. It's right here. It's on Porcupine. The person who lives there knows how to escape detection. Leave the front door, come around, you're on Rebecca Street. There's an even simpler route for a guy that's 6'4", 195 pounds. Right out the back door.
But they're wondering what it looks like we're 30 minutes. Or
This is like there.
Yeah.
The results of the autopsy, homicidal violence, there's no real cause. No one knows for sure. Could have been a shooting. These are pictures on, and there's more, but these is just to let you see what was captured on Devier's phone. If you look at this, this is telling, look at the date. 8/7/23. Modified, that meant it was looked at the day his dad was killed, or the afternoon, the night following his dad being killed. He looked at that. These are swords that were found in the Porcupine residence. The police went in and searched the residence on 8/7/23. This was the residence that Devier was living at with Devyn. Samurai swords on the floor. There has been a lack of investigation, and again, this isn't bad cop, good cop. No, these are good men trying to do the best they can. But they make mistakes. They've been repeatedly lied to concerning the dynamic of a fairly complicated and salacious relationship. 2 instruments at least used to decapitate Johnathan, 1 manual tool and 1 power tool. Neither recovered. Coroner examination, tool mark analysis reveals characteristics consistent with the use of 2 tools. A hand-powered knife and mechanically powered saw.
So when Grandma called the police and said that she has a butcher knife missing, she was lying, I think, because Mom and boyfriend were brought on some type of charges, and I think it was obstruction of justice. I think they were in trouble, something to do with this case. I just can't find it. But they are in trouble for a charge of something. But I'll find it and I'll let you all know.
Someone does homes installations, security systems, entertainment systems would have and know how to use. Listen, the mechanics to decapitate a human being are difficult. I mean, you've got this complex systems, you've got the musculature, you have the veins, the arteries, you've got the trachea, you've got the vertebrae, very thick ligaments and cartilage. It takes a lot. Hand-powered saw can do it. What's interesting, you will see, and it will play out, there's no blood spatter in the room consistent with use of power tool. Apparently there's an assumption that this decapitation occurred on the bed. I submit to you when you see the evidence, it's not consistent with that. You've got a power saw going in the neck there and you're cutting through it, there's going to be stuff all over the place. They didn't find anything. No cuts or markings to linens, the blanket, or the mattress. Devyn is 5'3" and weighs 130 pounds, something like 120. And again, and this will be for the state, because it's the state and the state alone that has to prove this case. Defense doesn't have to prove anything. There had been surveillance cameras that bad at the Paladura since 2021, and they were only taken down that evening. Johnathan was moving. We'll probably learn through the course of this trial who installed them. Safe to say it was probably Devyn. Ring was never subpoenaed for these videos. We've heard that perhaps it was wrong account information. The Michaels, Devyn Michaels residence, she was a homeowner. The home phone records were never subpoenaed. And see, this is significant because you can see on Devyn's phone that on the night of, and we don't know when this happened, wee hours of the morning, there had been calls from their home repeatedly. She was out late. She was with Johnathan. And at least for a time, Devyn was home with the kids. In fact, the same thing had happened the night before. She had been with Johnathan till 1 a.m. the previous day as well, when Devyn was presumably home, probably drinking.
So Devyn sitting at home, taking care of their children while they're out trying to rekindle a romance for the sake of their children because the children are really suffering. Boy, I'd be furious.
There's no blood or DNA analysis of the swords that porcupine ring, but again, too, we don't take issue with it. It's probably a sawzall or an.
Yeah. Why was there no blood or DNA analysis of swords? So that means there was nothing on there or they didn't take it.
Another hand-powered saw was used. No gun residue testing of either Devyn or Devyn. No gun residue testing at Paladura.
The ball was dropped on this. Big time.
No blood on Devyn's clothes when Yoko sees her at 1 a.m. It was actually Yoko's habit to come down from downstairs. You know, Jonathan's room, the room he was moving out of, was downstairs. And through the cell phone analysis, you're going to see that it was somewhat of a shit show with that house. It was a very cantankerous relationship between Johnathan and his mother. Don't drink, you're going to get pulled over. The autopsies results will show that fatty liver, the guy's a heavy drinker. He had GHB in his system, he had marijuana in his system. You know, the issue about the car keys and the wallet, Social Security guard being at the house that he's moving into, given not only Devyn's concern, but Yoko's concern. For most people, that may be a big deal, significant, where this guy, getting loaded, driving regularly, you gotta take his keys. Cell phone, part of the bunch. He was moving into that residence, and that's where the police found these things. That isn't evidence of motive. It's not evidence of murder. There is no blood on Devyn's clothes when she goes through the CVS drive, through the pharmacy. Their kids were home. They were home the prior nights. They were living with Devyn. There had been a custody dispute, but that had been now resolved through the rekindling of their relationship. She lied about the sex that she was having with Devyn, or Devyn lied about the sex she was having with Debbie, and Devyn lied about the sex she was having with Johnathan. There's no blood on the clothes investigators recovered from Devyn's house. There's no blood on her. And I'm going to show you the video in just a few minutes that the state had showed. The still. This is the night before he is dead and decapitated. Watch them. This is her. And look at her shoes for a minute, please. Shorts and her shirt. He's smiling. They're adjusting their clothes. And bear with me, this is about 1 minute and 20 seconds, but we want you to watch the whole thing. There's Johnathan. And she had spent this day with him and the girls. They were going school shopping, they were going Burlington, they were moving in things. The girls were there for good. And again, what motivation does she have to get rid of him? She had the girls all summer and was going to continue to have them. She tried to register him at school the next morning, but she wasn't able to. Unbeknownst to her, he was dead. She went back the next day and tried to register him. Look at his face. They're smiling at each other. He's smiling at her. Thanks, Mike. Did you just rewind that a little bit? Thank you. Here we go. Look at his face. Thank you. Oh, we skipped something. Just a second. Can we forward this just towards the end of it where Devyn's walking out? Mm-hmm. Again, look at the shoes. And this is before this beheading that the state's saying that she did. There goes Johnathan, and there she goes. Look at her shoes. Look at her shirt. Those are the shorts. CVS 227. After she leaves the Paladura house, the house that Johnathan is moving out of to move in with her, for them to be a family and rekindle this relationship, I have you believe that she worried about stopping and picking up a prescription for her daughters. And she does that. She goes, tells the police she went to a 24-hour pharmacy. She had to get medication for girls at school tomorrow. This is her rolling up. And see, it's 228. If you look at the shirt. Same shirt. And this is after she's presumably gone through this arduous task of beheading Johnathan. She has the wherewithal to get a prescription after supposedly beheading a man. She arrives home shortly after that and is picked up on the cameras. This is the home the police enter and photograph hours after this murder is alleged to have occurred. See down here on the right? See the shoes? Black shoes, white soles, middle of it. I think we focus up on one, but there's actually two there. These are the shoes that were worn when the man was beheaded hours before. There's another pair of shoes matching those that we saw in that video from Carol Hurst at 10 o'clock the night before. You know, you don't have to like her. You don't have to like the choices that she made. It was Benjamin Franklin that said this fact, facts are stubborn things, and the state has the facts that they have. Look at the evidence. Look at the motivations. And find her not guilty. Thank you.
You know, I just thought of this. She had to have been playing them both. She had to have been. I don't know. It's a weird case. I'm going to see it out. I'm going to continue to keep watching it. Well, that's some pretty good evidence. She would have blood all over her if she removed the head. Yeah, I mean, the only person that wasn't seen that night was Devyn. And why didn't we see them? Because all the equipment was disconnected. I think at this point, they just all should have lived together. I mean, if you're at home or if you go over to your baby daddy house and he's the father of your husband, you're having sex with him and then going home and having sex with your husband, you all might as well just live together and do it all together. Why worry about the middleman that's driving to his house? Just have them just live all together, one big happy family. Y'all can take care of the kids. Stuff like that. Be good. All right, well, that's really all I have to show, guys. I don't really have anything else. I think in all reality,
a woman convicted of cutting off a man's head and throwing it.
It's a sad case. I believe that if Devyn did it, she didn't do it alone. Her little 5'2" body is not going to decapitate somebody. That takes a lot of work. Unless, of course, you got those power tools that your husband uses to cut wood and stuff at his job. So, well, I hope, I mean, I don't know, just watch videos is pretty much all you can do. But we will continue this tomorrow. There, like I said, the son testified today. And he admitted he did lie to the grand jury. So she could have done it, then taken a shower and put on clean clothes before going home. Yeah, but don't you think Johnathan's mom would have said something like that? Don't you think she would have said, oh yeah, Devyn took a shower? I just feel like she would have said that she took a shower and changed her clothes. I don't know. But I hope that everyone joins tomorrow. And I think day three, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, day 3 of the trial. Well, no. We're going to be on day 3. Yeah. But we're a day behind because they don't start until like 11 o'clock their time, which I don't understand that. So, but I am going to eat my supper and lay down for the night and think about this case and how it all came to be. I guess I don't understand. There's a lot of key players in this, but somehow they're just getting away with it. I don't know. I truly believe she went off like that in the courtroom because in her heart she knew something wasn't right. I want to believe that. I want to believe that everybody's innocent. You know, I want to believe that nobody could hurt somebody, you know? All right, well, I'm just rambling. So you guys have a good night. Stay safe. It's wild out there, y'all. Wild, I say. And don't forget to subscribe. Share the live so other people can get the info on Devyn, Katrina, Tracy, and Nikki. You know what else I can't figure out is how someone can legally have all those names. She like legally uses all these names. I don't know how. Is that something that you can do in Nevada? It's like wild. All the aliases that she has. So, anyways, if you liked the stream, give it a like. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Any interaction is good for me. So, at least people are interacting with the video. So, have a good night. Be safe. I'll see you in the next one. See you tomorrow. Oh, I'll probably start maybe 9 o'clock in the morning. All right. Bye.